Hello Art 1-2, here's your quick eye demonstration. So the first thing you would want to do with eyes is to look at like any skin tone around, and then we're going to add like a little bit of shadow like in the eyeball so it looks more rounded, less flat. So I'm looking in the corner and I'm just using regular wooden pencil because it's not that dark. Fading out. A little bit along the edge of the eyeball and behind the lashes. We're going to fade that part out. The underneath the waterline has a little bit of value. A little bit of value on the waterline. All right, then it looks like the eyelid has a little bit of value, so I am going to go over the crease. I'm going to fade down a little bit. And where the lashes are, I'm going to add a little bit of value. I'm also going to add a little bit of value in the corner of the eye. Normally your eyeball would have a little bit of shadow because it is a sphere. So it does actually have all 5 parts of light. So we're going to add a little bit of shadow in there. Then we're going to blend and then we'll add the iris. And so you do want to use your small blender. So we're working in small areas. Keeping in mind that this is copy paper, so it's not the best paper. So after working on drawing paper, you probably notice a difference. And you're going to smudge over the crease of the eye. Okay. And I'm going to fade out. All right, so that makes the eyeball itself look more rounded. Okay, so then because this one is looking like a side view or it's looking at an angle, notice how the iris becomes an ellipse. So it's a circle in perspective. So we have this edge here. I'm going to give myself a little guideline, looking at how it curves and curving over. Okay. Your pupil is generally in the middle of, well, it is in the middle of your iris unless there's something going on. So I'll kind of give myself some guidelines on there. I'm going to add my pupil in there. And so whatever shape the iris or the color part of the eye is, the pupil is also that shape. So this is elliptical, so is the pupil. And then I'm going to add in the reflected light, or the shiny part, the highlight, so that we can go around. All right, then with mechanical pencil, because we want to stay really precise, we're going to recreate the tones of that iris. And then the very last thing you'll always do for eyes is then put lashes on very last. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and fill in the pupil. I'm going to do a darker ring. Everybody has the darker ring. It just depends on how light your eyes are, if you can see it or not. But everybody has it because it's the little tissue of the iris where it all clusters together. All right, so this does have some texture in the eye. So I'm going to add in some of that darker texture. I'm going to go around the highlight, or the reflection in the eye, which really it's the shiny highlight where light is hitting, if we're referring to 5 parts of light. Okay, then I'm going to do a general kind of layer over that. Fading in the outer ring a little bit so it doesn't look so outlined. I'm going to add another layer of the texture of the iris. So the iris is kind of like a muscle. It expands and contracts, and so you have these little linear textures. And then I'm probably going to go a little bit darker. And I'm going to go off padding to crispen up that darker ring. pupil. Okay, then with small blender, I'm going to kind of go just touch over the pupil. I'm going to try to not have to refine the edge of the iris. So I want to be a little careful. All right, then with mechanical pencil eraser, or you can trade your ID and get the pencil top eraser. We're going to erase out like the highlight a little bit more. I'm looking at like how high it comes up, the fact that it kind of fades out a little bit. And then I'm going to do that same kind of textury line, but pulling out the light values that can be seen. Just kind of scribble for the texture. All right, so then we have major components. Now, once you're done with all the shading, and if you had any kind of skin tone over here, we definitely put it in. I think I'm just, because that looks a little bit weird, I'm just gonna continue and add an edge to the eye there. All right, so your next step with mechanical pencil is to give yourself guidelines for the lashes. So the lashes can make or break your eye. These lashes look a little bit crazy. So looking at like where your lashes grow out, not where the waterline is. And so I'm gonna kind of scoop so it overlaps the waterline a little bit. And so I'm gonna give myself, and I'm looking at like this V-shaped negative space. No, it doesn't go out as far. I'm going to look at the negative spaces here between the lashes and kind of draw those in there. So now these are like, you're looking at a different angle of the ones overlapping the eye. So they kind of curl over each other or curve over each other. Okay, so I'm pretty precise when as precise as possible when putting in your guidelines. You're gonna do that for lower lashes as well. Looking at length and direction and if they crisscross. All right, then lashes are all about layering. So I'm gonna do some shorter kind of sweeping, like you're kind of sweeping out, like whoosh, 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 sweeping out and flicking away. And so I am kind of looking at like the clusters of them. Usually lashes will be a little bit more wispy than these are, unless you're wearing fake lashes. So once I kind of have a good base, then I would really go back and press a little harder, because then I'm more sure of where they need to be. All right, same thing for the ones overlapping the iris. Let those kind of scoop over a little bit. Bring that one in. I'm going to do a couple more because I feel like these need to be a little bit longer. I'm just going to leave those as is. So there is your first attempt at an eye. I hope it went well for you.